Hey guys, today we're going to look at defensive ball screens. So there's more than just two ways to cover a ball screen. You typically have switching it or get through it. So we're going to look at a little bit more sophisticated, ways to cover a ball screen. I learned a lot of these, basically all of them, when I was in college. So we're going to walk through some of these today. You see them all over here on the left. This is a play designer that I have uh, developed, and it's on stephencasper.com if you want to look at it and play around with it. Let me know what you think. So here we go. First one we're going to cover, and it's one of the basics, switch. And you'll see here in parentheses, got green, just probably easier to yell green than switch and soft trap and things like that. So these are the terms that we used when I was playing. So switch or green, pretty simple. See, we got our two offensive players and our two defensive players. So switch, we're just going to have the big switch out, and then you'll see the defensive guard roll and get underneath that. So there's two different ways really that you can do this with the guard. That's really the only variation that I've done before. And so here you'll see that this guard runs directly underneath that big. So you're probably not going to want to do that if your on-ball defender is smaller. You probably want to try and keep him out of this situation where he's being pinned underneath. This running under also makes it easier to throw a little pocket pass right here. If this guy happens to run and not get all the way underneath. The other way to do this, and this is probably what you're going to want to do if you have a smaller guard, is do a switch but have your guard run and get on top of this big. And really you're going to want him to try and fight to get around this as much as possible, because what you want to do here is stop that pocket pass from going in. And then what this also does is puts you in a good position so that you're fronting this guy. So it just makes that pass a little bit harder. If he's sitting behind him, then it's going to be harder for him to try and fight around front, and it probably lead to an easier bucket. So if you have a bigger guard who can defend in the post, it's probably fine to run under. It's probably easier that way. But if you have a smaller guard and you really need to keep it out of the post, you probably want to go over the top of it here. Another thing to think about, how far do you have to switch out with this big? If you're not guarding somebody who's a really good shooter, then you probably can hang back in here and run the switch from there. That's all just kind of the read, and which you'll get into it more. So next we have hedge or black. So here our defensive big is going to get out top here and force this ball handler to come out this way with it. So this is good. It stops the offensive guard from just getting into the lane or something. This is requires a little bit more work from your big on defense, but it really disrupts the rhythm of this ball screen. There's a couple ways you can do it with this guard here. You'll see here I have the guard going over the top. So he's actually going to go over the top, then underneath his big, and then that big recovers once he's through. You could also do it and have him run under this, but mostly what you'll probably see out of this are guys going and running under and then through, and then you kind of recover back. That's where you need to be. Next, this one doesn't have a color, but we call it Cowboy. You're going to want to, we ran this the majority of the time, but you're probably going to want to run this if you're playing against, if this guard isn't a great shooter and really just wants to get into the lane and attack to score at the rim. So what's going to happen here is this ball screen's going to take place, and you'll see here that our big is just going to stay put, and he's staying in there. So it's called Cowboy because you're kind of corralling him into this space and just leaving him to kind of mess around. If he wants to take this jump shot, you're going to let him. That's something that you'll have to give up in this. And so with this, again, this guard on defense has the choice to run under or over. It's just kind of whatever you want to do there. Normally it's going to be running under, because if you go over, this can become a nightmare to try and defend, because then you have this guard trailing behind, and it makes for a very easy, if this guy is back here, it makes it tough on this guy to decide, well, who do I pick up? And then it's a pretty easy 2-on-1. And so you're probably going to want to do this and have that guard run underneath. And then once he gets back in front, then this big can retreat back to his man. It's probably a little early in the animation there, but once he gets back there, then he can recover back. Next was soft trap. And when I say soft trap, it's really a soft trap just with our big defender. And so we're going to have the ball screen, and you'll see here that once this ball screen comes, our guard gets really tied up to this guy's body. And we want to apply a lot of pressure there to make it difficult for him to try and throw back or something. And we really just want to push this guard this way as much as we can. So you can run this different ways, but in this, you'll see the big is actually going to stay. He's going to stay. He's going to trap, but he's not really extending out. It's just kind of soft, wait, and stay and trap. And then once he retreats, then we'll recover back. That's why I said that. So back to blue. So it's a different thing. So once he retreats, then our big is gonna go back and get to his man. This, you probably want to do this. If this guy is just really good, then you have to get the ball out of his hand. Then this is probably your answer. Just keep him real tight. Don't let him get anything off that ball screen. You're also not switching. It can create problems, and it takes a lot of communication. But this guy is going to be wide open, so you're going to have to either rotate. So say that you have another big on defense here. He might end up rotating out on this pass or something, and then he would rotate there. So it adds a little bit more complexity with that. But it's a good way to get the ball out of that guard's hands. Next is a hard trap. We'll call this red. So you'll see here that I have another player out. He's not supposed to be up there, but I have another player out here. Just try to ignore him for now. So this hard trap, it's kind of similar to blue. You'll see the guard here pressures up, but instead of this big man just hanging out right here, he's going to run out. And we're going to try and push this ball handler up there. So in blue, we were really trying to push him there. In red, we're trying to push him to half court. So from here, we'll stay with him. And in here, we're going to stay with him either until he retreats or until he passes the ball. So once he passes it, you'll see then our big recovers back to his spot. Again, this takes a lot of rotations, and you need to be communicating to make sure that you get matched up on these switches and stuff. Next, we have gold, and so this is the big jams up. If I can put big jams up, but here you're not going to probably use too much. You're only going to run this if this guard is just pretty bad, and this big man is really good. So here, you got the ball screen, and you'll see our big defender runs, and he's jammed up into him, and then our guard is just going to run under and dare this offensive guard to make a play. So you'll say, this won't work. Well, most of the time it probably won't work, but if this guard is just not an offensive threat at all, you can do this, I'm sure. I had this run against me some in college, but that's what you do there. And then he just recovers, and you stay home there. So if you have a big that can shoot, that's probably what you want to do, assuming that this guard's not much of a threat on offense. And then lastly, we have down. And so down works really well, especially with offenses or defenses that force baseline. So you'll see here, as the ball screen comes out, our big man on defense is going to be yelling, screen, screen, screen right. And once our guard hears that, he's going to jump out and cut off the middle. And so this guard's job is to make sure that this offensive guy can't go to the middle of the floor. So he's going to jump out there, force that ball screen to go down this way, and then this big here you'll see just stays put waiting for him to come. This can be dangerous to make this little pass here, but even if he makes this pass, this is kind of, you're there to guard this unless that big is just really good off the bounce. So this works. A lot of these, all these sets I have, assuming we're forcing middle or not really forcing baseline, but if your team forces baseline, this is a great thing to run because you're already in position for it, and so you probably run this naturally anyway. So that's it for ball screen defenses. Let me know what you think. Let me know if I missed anything or if you give any of them a try. I'll probably do another video here soon of offensive reads to attack out of this.